Thank you very much, everyone, for taking your time to join us today. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever it is that you're joining us. And also thank you for saying hello in the chat. Everyone who is just joining, feel free to say hello in the chat. I just want to take you through what we are going to talk about today, and then share with you who is joining us today. So today we're gonna be sharing some information about getting started as a Crossref member, and including some topics that we receive most questions from our new members. That's the importance of registering your content and its metadata, benefits and obligations of a member, and the role of persistent identifiers and other metadata, ways to register your records, updating and adding extra metadata, invoicing and billing, and some questions and answers. I would encourage you to ask as many questions as you have in the Q&A and not in the chat box, so that we can have a visibility of them and make it easier for our team to respond to all the questions that you have. If we don't get to answer any of the questions in this meeting, then we will follow up later after this meeting to answer your question. Like I said, you will receive a recording of these webinar and slides in the next days. This is how your screen might be looking like, but since it's a webinar, we don't have the video function, but you can use the react button to or and the Q&A button as well to ask any questions that you might have. And you can use closed captioning, for example, that might enable some of your devices to translate into a local language, or just enable you to read the text of what I'm speaking about right now. Yeah, and I'm going to also, before I share who is joining us today, I also want you to be aware of our code of conduct. We expect that everyone that is attending today is going to be respectful and to conduct themselves in the best possible way in how you interact in the chat, and also in your questions, and as well just be mindful of everyone else throughout the whole meeting, and making it a safe environment for everyone. Yeah, great. So we are joined today by Marina, who is our member experience manager, and myself, Joan Senobanda. I'm part of the community team, and Sally Jennings, who is a member support specialist. Yeah, Sally, you will see a lot of messages from Sally in the chat, and also in the Q&A if you ask any questions. Yeah, so I'm gonna start with your membership journey. Yeah, so joining us today mostly, and I assume are most of our very new members who've joined in the past months. Yeah, as a new member, you and your colleagues will receive a number of emails from our membership team with a lot of information about starting with your membership journey. Yeah, those would include an email with your Crossref UI prefix, instructions for setting up the password or on your new Crossref credentials, how to or what kind of content registration tool that you could use, some billing cycle information, voting, and how to get further support. So all these additional emails you will receive over the next few months, and also more information about topics that will make your member experience easier. So I want to discuss a few of these topics with you, and so will my other colleagues. Yeah, when you fill out your application form, you tick the box to accept our membership terms on behalf of your organization. So being a member comes with benefits, but also obligations to Crossref and your fellow members. And so we'll take a look at these in more detail. Being a member allows you to create a persistent identifier, which is a DOI for each object, and register a metadata record for that item. By registering your research object with us and creating your DOIs and metadata records, your organization becomes part of a globally connected network of scholarly research, which is growing every year. We currently have a membership of 24,000 organizations from 166 countries, and they register about 179 million items with us. The DOI and metadata record is globally shared with hundreds of tools and thousands of users via our free open API. And that enhances discoverability of your publications and making your content more likely to be found. The metadata that our members provide also powers a variety of additional services that we have developed at Crossref to benefit our members and wider academic community, including cited by and similarity check. We are also governed by our board, which is made up of representatives from our member organizations, and all members are also able to vote for and stand for our board, giving them a voice in Crossref governance. But being a member also means that you have obligations to your fellow members and the wider scholarly community. You should register DOIs and metadata records for everything that you publish going forward. You also need to register DOI for all of your articles if you don't have DOIs registered for them. You also need to make sure that you only register records for content where you are the publisher. So you're taking on a long-term responsibility for stewarding the content and the metadata, and your name will show in the metadata as the publisher. So, and that means that if you are a university, you should only register DOIs for articles in the journals that the university publishes. You should not register DOIs for articles in journals that are not published by you, basically, or that are published by other organizations, even if one of your staff is one of the authors. Now, once a DOI has been registered for an item, the DOI needs to remain the unique identifier for that item forever. So if the content moves to a new website or it is acquired by a different publisher, if it already has a DOI, then the metadata associated with that DOI needs to be updated to show that the new publisher and to point to the new landing page. And then so that new article will have a metadata to show that there is a new publisher that is in charge of it. But the DOI itself shouldn't change. It's really important that you don't register new DOIs for content that already has a DOI. For example, if you're acquiring a journal from another member, then you have that already has a DOI record. For example, for existing issues, we can transfer ownership of that journal title to you, and you should continue to use and display any existing DOIs for the past issues. But we can also give you access to update the metadata of these existing records, even though the prefix on the DOI is not your DOI prefix. Something else is that when you register a DOI with us, you'll provide us with a resolution URL. This is where you want the readers to arrive if they paste the DOI into a browser. It's basically the landing page, and that needs to be unique to that item with enough bibliographic information that the reader can feel comfortable that they've arrived at the right place. You should also display the DOI expressed as a link on the landing page. And I will provide more details later about landing pages and our display guidelines. You also need to undertake reference linking. So reference linking means that in the list of references at the end of your articles, you display DOIs where applicable. This means that anyone reading the reference list will be able to click on that DOI link to easily and persistently find the articles that your author has referenced. You should do this for all the reference that have DOIs, even if the articles are published by other organizations. We will send this presentation after the meeting, and the link here will provide more information about reference linking. So why is metadata so important? Metadata, we're going to look at what metadata is and why it is so important in this section. And let's start with the type of metadata that you might register. since not everyone will be registering journal articles, we'll still focus on these basic metadata or these metadata that you see, types of metadata that you're seeing on your screen, or which are more common. So the basic metadata, for example, is an article title, the journal that the article was published in, some other metadata as well include contributors and their affiliations, like authors and their ORCID IDs and their institutions, which can be identified as well using the ROR IDs. Funding information is also other important metadata. The funder, which can also be identified by ROR IDs or individual grants, like using grant numbers, grant DOIs. Creating relationships to the other work that relates to that particular content, like the versions of that content, the translations, references, and data. Also updates, corrections, retractions, or withdrawals. These are common metadata. But then regardless of the kind of metadata that you register or the kind of content that you're registering with, Crossref will encourage you to add as much metadata for that article as possible, because this is helpful, and we're going to see that in a minute. So this is a behind the scenes an XML file for one particular DOI or content that is registered with Crossref. You can see the identifier over here, the DOI 10.7554 eLife article 9103. And so these the metadata that our members provide listed in our system, as XML. And this is the behind the scenes machine readable storage type. And we encourage our members to make sure that they register accurate metadata to make it consistent as well, and to make sure that it's robust or maybe like more complete. And because if it isn't accurate metadata, then it doesn't help anyone else downstream. So it's important to have all this metadata because it's machine readable, and then can integrate with other and be interoperable with other systems as well, for the benefit of everyone. So our REST API is relied on by a large part of the research information community and beyond, and we receive nearly 2 billion requests each month through our APIs. The diagram that I'm showing you now shows some of the types and tools and organizations that are on metadata. This is the outside ring and the different ways that the metadata is used in the inside rings here. So our metadata is used by metrics and analytics tools such as Web of Science and Scopus. It is used by library discovery systems to find content that the researchers have access to. It's also used by members themselves to highlight gaps in their metadata or check reference linking. Organizations such as DOJ make use of metadata in their journal review process. So you can see this is how your content will be discoverable, and also provides information to others about where in the scholarly ecosystem your content fits. And so this is why metadata is also important. So the more and better your metadata is, then the more useful it is to the scholarly community and as well to your own organization and also to your own researchers. I'm going to take you through the structure of a DOI here. We can see a DOI string over here, and we can see the red part, which is a resolver, and the blue part, which is the prefix that is also unique to every member, and then the yellow part, which is the suffix, which is also unique to every content that you're registering with Crossref. So these are the red part, which is a resolver. Makes the DOI itself actionable, which means that if you click on the whole string, then it leads you to another page in a browser. So let's look at this prefix. So prefixes would be starting with a 10 dot and then 4 numbers or 5 numbers. So currently it is mostly currently it is 5 numbers. Yeah. So this is unique to every member, and you can use this to register different content types. You don't have to get a new prefix for a new content type, or even for a new title, for example. So if you're registering a new title, that will be added to your metadata, and then it will be also added to your prefix, or to your prefix as well. So you don't need to get a new prefix for a new title or for content type. So you can use the same title, or you can use the same prefix to register your different content types and different titles. And there's no limit to the number of DOIs that you can create. And you can also register your DOIs anytime that you want to. This is a suffix, which is which uniquely identifies an article or the content type or particular content that you're registering with Crossref. We receive many questions from our new members about creating a suffix for their DOIs. Suffixes are best when they include short strings that are easily displayed and typed and are opaque. This is to say that the DOIs itself doesn't need to have any meaning on its own. DOI suffix doesn't need to state anything about the item it is identifying. That's all done within the metadata that you're registering with us. For example, information such as SPN or page number should be included in the metadata, not as part of the suffix. While it might be tempting using a pattern with human-readable elements in your DOI suffixes, that can cause some problems. Because services and tools that use DOIs may, for example, try to predict future DOIs that are not registered. If you must use a suffix with meaning, internal systems identifiers can work with careful management. Our best advice is that your DOI suffix should be simple, short, and opaque. Don't include anything in the suffix that could change in the future, since your DOI will be around forever. When creating your suffix, you may use the letters A to Z, since suffixes are case insensitive, the numbers 0 to 9, and certain characters such as hyphens and parentheses. If you're using OJS platform, follow our instructions to set your DOI suffix generation to default. This will ensure that your OJS platform creates a random suffix for you each time. If you're using another method to register your content, you can always use our random suffix generator to do that. Great. And now to display your DOIs. So how should DOIs be displayed? First, DOIs should not be posted on your website until they have been successfully registered and the DOI is active. When listing the DOIs on your content, we have guidelines for displaying them on the website. It's really important for consistency and usability that all members follow these guidelines. One of the most important guidelines is displaying the DOI as a URL, so that it is actionable when someone clicks on it on the screen. Then they can see, then it can take them to the same landing page, for example. Yeah, the guidelines also make it easy as possible for users to cut and paste or click to share Crossref DOIs. For example, using right click to copy a URL. So this is an example you can see in this screen, an example of a landing page that has a DOI by itself that is clickable. Then as well, how to cite this article, or the how to reference this article with the DOI included in it. And in some cases, the full text, for example. But then this is in control of the publisher. Some publishers don't have the full text article accessible freely. Maybe you have to sign in, or they might be behind a paywall, for example. But it's important to have the basic metadata or this article so that the users know that they've arrived in the right on the right page. Yeah. So I'm going to this is the I'm going to go to this for example is not a suitable landing page. There is just one URL for the whole issue. It's like one URL for the whole issue, and then you have like all these like different articles. So you need to have a landing page such as this or any other, but then it should be unique for each article that you're registering with Crossref. So I'm gonna invite my colleague Marina to take it through ways to register metadata records. And Marina, I want to ask, would you like to share your own screen?
If you can keep sharing the screen, that would be great, if that's okay for you, Amanda.
All right, okay, great.
Thank you so much, and apologies for joining late. But I'm happy to be here with you now. And yes, just as a reminder, afterwards we will send the recording to everyone who is attending and also registered but cannot attend today. We're also going to send the slides together with it. So you will receive an email shortly afterwards. And right now, let's talk about the ways to register your metadata records or DOIs. Yeah, so the first question that you might want to start with is do you use an OGS platform from PKP? We know a lot of our members do, and for that, we've been working together with PKP to develop a plugin that does it automatically for you. So, this is probably going to be the easiest way to register DOIs for your content items. If you're not using OGS, that's absolutely fine. But then start thinking, are you comfortable writing XML? Like, do you understand what an XML file is? You're working with it a lot of time. And if you are comfortable with it, just start creating XML files. We have some examples in our documentation. And then you can either send it to us with HTTPS post. If you're thinking now, oh no, what is this? I'm not really sure. Don't you worry, you can just upload these files in our admin tool, which is really easy to find. It's doi.crossref.org, and you just log in there and upload an XML file. Now, let's come to those of you who thought, oh no, XML file, do I need to know how to code or what is this? We have a lot of helper tools developed for you, so you don't have to learn what XML is, and you can just fill in the form with the information about the content item that you have. And the system under the hood is gonna convert it to XML for you and send it to us. So if you want to use one of our helper tools, just think what kind of records will you register? I want to imagine that most of you will be registering journal articles or maybe something like this, maybe research grants if we have some funders with us. And for that, you can use our new metadata manager tool. It's very easy, user-friendly, and I'm going to show you some screenshots afterwards. And if you're looking to register other content types like books, book chapters, reports, maybe some working papers, you can use our web deposit form. It is still very friendly, but we are now working to make sure that all of the functionality and all of the content types are moving to the new metadata manager tool. Um, yeah, let's take a quick look at all of these main content registration methods just to see what we can cover. So let's start with OGS. And I mentioned that we work together with PKP to make sure that there are automatic plugins that register the DOIs for you, for your content in OGS. And it's available from OGS version 3.1.2 onwards. And for those of you who are more or less familiar with OGS, you might have heard or experienced that different versions work a bit differently, and that's why you need to set it up differently. So on the screen, you see a quick example of differences for 3.3 and 3.4. And in the slides that you will receive later, there are the links to the instructions. Also, we have developed some videos, so you can just watch a video and we guide you step by step where to click which button, how to authenticate, and how to make sure your plugin is working. We're now currently working on developing a video and proper documentation for 3.5. And here I just want to quickly cover the most common issue amongst OGS users. It's usually the way how you authenticate. So there are two types of credentials that we currently use in Crossref. Some of you who might be, if we have any sponsored members with us, we are using role credentials, which is basically a role or like a username and a password. And this password you share with everyone in your organization. Although hopefully most of you, when you joined, you have received individual user credentials. That means that your email address is your login and your password is the one that you set for yourself. If you have ever forgotten it, you can just go to doi.crossref.org and click a button, Forgotten Password. So your email and your password, you manage it all by your own. And if you want to log in and authenticate the OGS DOI plugin, you still need to know your role. And you can see this arrow on the screen. This is the way how you should log in. So you need to put your email address, you need to put a slash, and then the role. And only then you put the password down there. And that's the way to properly activate the plugin. If I'm not mistaken, if any of you are using a Scholastica platform, the logic in authentication is absolutely the same, and this might be the only issue you solve in the beginning, and afterwards it runs smoothly. And obviously, if you experience any more issues, you can always send us a message to our support team. Just please include, who you are, which organization, which prefix, and ideally a screenshot. This just helps our team to help you as fast as possible. Besides that, in OGS, you find also several other plugins. Something that is a plugin for reference linking and depositing references. There's a plugin to include funding data. And also those of you who are either interested or already using Similarity Check service, there is a plugin to include the URLs for Similarity Check service as well. We have the links on the slide, so you can either take a screenshot right now or look at the presentation that we send afterwards in an email to you, so you'll always have it handy. Now, I've seen a quick message in the chat that the form is a lifesaver, and this is great. So let's take a quick look at the new Metadata Manager. This is our newest tool, and for now, it can only be used for journal articles and grants registrations. Our team is actively working on enabling further content types here, but right now, just keep in mind if you want to register something else, you'll need to use a web deposit form. So here you see on the right top, there is an email of my colleague. This should be your email once you log in with your email and password that you've set. And then you just click on create new record and you choose, let's say you're registering a journal article. So you just select it as a content type and you click continue. And then on the next page, you'll see that there are various steps and various fields to fill in all of the information about the article you're registering. And those that are within asterisk are mandatory. So things like article title, the DOI, and article landing page URL. So you just go through the form and you fill all of the fields, all of the metadata you have for the article, and in the end, you're going to get a quick summary just to double check that everything that you have entered is correct. There are no spelling errors or typos or any mistakes. And then once you hit submit, on the next page, it's basically going to show you the real-time verification. So you can see that it's successfully submitted. And then you can either download the record, you can see the DOI, your submission ID number, and you can even start a new submission. You can find this form. You can see the link on the screen. It's called manage.crossref.org/records. This is where you log in with your credentials. Also, you can find it in our documentation in the members area on the website, and you will obviously get the slides afterwards, so you can just copy paste directly from there. We know sometimes things don't run as smoothly as we wish, so you might get an error. And in real-time verification, you'll just get an error immediately on the screen, and you will see an error message there. So it's always going to tell you what's wrong with the submission. And on our website, in our documentation, you'll also have a button, Go to Documentation. So there we have a summary of the errors that most commonly happen and how to solve them. Again, if it's something that is very complicated, it's not listed on the website, and you don't seem to solve it, just take a screenshot, record your submission ID and your DOI, and send a message to our support team. So I mentioned before that these are just the two most common registration methods. And we do have other alternative options for that. So if you're registering other content, you can use web deposit form, which is basically a little bit of a different interface. It's been around for many, many years, but it does its job. As a user, you just fill out different fields, you hit submit, and you get to register other content types with us in a very user-friendly way. Or you create XML files and you either upload them to the admin tool or send them to us via HTTPS post. So now let's talk. You have already a DOI that you have registered, and maybe you need to update a resolution URL. Or maybe later, after it was registered, you notice some spelling mistake, or there are just any changes to metadata that need to be made. It's important to remember that there is a fee when you initially register the DOI and the metadata record, but you can make as many updates as you wish, and we will never charge you for that. So there will be no fees on updating the metadata on existing records. So it's important to keep in mind three key things. Your metadata should be clean. So you want to maintain it, to keep it complete and up to date and without any errors. No spelling and things like that. Then you want to make sure that it's complete, so you add information for the additional fields, and you don't forget to do this for your back files too. And also, we would like, obviously, everyone would like your metadata records to be up to date. So if the resolution URL changes, which is basically the website where it resolves to, or maybe there's been a retraction or update in the content item, you update the record as well. So to correct or update the metadata for a content item already registered with us, if you're using an OJS plugin, you can, depending on the version, you can go to the relevant article, you unpublish it, you add, edit, adjust as needed, and then you save and you republish. If I'm remembering correctly, in the latest version of OJS, this happens on the go. So you just edit your article there and it updates the DOI automatically if you have the plugin enabled. And then if you're using any other helper tools like Web Deposit Form or maybe our Metadata Manager, you just need to redeposit the whole record with missing element or with the changes. So basically our system looks at the latest file that you have submitted and makes it the correct one. So it updates the records. And the same goes if you are depositing XML files. So you're sending us XML files or uploading them. You just need to make an update in the file and don't forget to update the timestamp because again, our system will check, okay, which version is the latest and it does it by the timestamp. So do the updates, update the date, and obviously, if you need more information, we have very extensive documentation on that. And that's pretty much it. You can also update certain fields in bulk. So we know that, for example, things like similarity check URLs are quite a popular thing to update them in bulk, especially if you want to get your eligibility up to the percentage up so you can start using the service. And for that, you will find the samples of CSV files in our documentation, and you will just need to put the DOI numbers and the URLs, let's say, for the missing fields, and then you just upload a CSV file and it updates the DOIs in bulk. Another common situation is if you want to update the resolution URLs in bulk. And then the easiest way would be to reach out to our support team, and they will let you know in which format and how to send them a file. It would be a simple TXT file. You just have a list of new resolution URLs with your already registered DOIs, and they can do some magic for you to make your life easier. Now, we do receive a lot of questions, especially from new members, about their invoices and their payment options. And I mentioned now that there will be no fees for updating metadata. But as a Crossref member, you are going to get invoices. So, what are the invoices that you're going to get? First of all, every January of the coming year, you will receive an annual membership fee invoice. Well, you will receive it if you're a billing contact or if you're a billing secondary contact. Otherwise, you won't. So those designated contacts on your account will receive the annual membership fee invoice depending on your membership fee tier. And you have to pay it via a credit card or via a wire transfer within 45 days from the date it was issued. And then each quarter, so once in January, once in April, once in July, once in October, we will be sending out to you content registration invoices. So within the quarter, within the first 3 months of the year, let's say now you have been registering DOIs, and let's say you've registered 500 DOIs, all for the current year journal articles. So in April, you have received an invoice for $500. There is differentiation because maybe some of you have been registering DOIs and you haven't still received an invoice. There are certain factors that influence that. So, for example, if the total amount of the quarterly invoice is under $100, this will be rolled over to the next quarter, and then to the next quarter, and then to the end of year. So, let's say if you're registering around, I don't know, 50 DOIs in a whole year, you're only going to receive one invoice in January for all of the DOIs you've registered in the past year. And this also depends whether the content you're registering is current or back year. So the current content is content that was published this year, 2026, and also in 2025, 2024, and 2023. So the 3 years before that, and all of the years before that, that would already be back year. And this comes with lower content registration fees. And this is our way to encourage you to also register DOIs for your back year content and not just for the content moving forward. And then if by any chance you want to make sure that it is really your prefix on which the content was registered, you can always double check it in the invoice because it's going to mention the prefix. We accept credit card payments, and the easiest way to pay is through the payment portal that your billing contact should already have access to. You can see the invoices there, you can set up auto pay, you can download invoices. It's basically the whole financial overview of your account. You can also do bank transfers, so wires, but please keep in mind that your bank might charge you a certain fee. So you need to count with it, and probably you will end up paying the fee and a little bit more on top. Otherwise, our billing team will reach out to you saying that your invoice has been underpaid and ask for another transfer. But generally, it's a membership obligation that I also want to remind you of to pay your invoices on time. Otherwise, we'll have to suspend your account and you will not be able to register content. And we really don't want to do this. So that's it for the invoicing. And I know it's been a lot of information today, and it's not as simple as you might expect in the beginning. So there are ways to get help. We always want to make it easier for you and make sure that you're all set and ready and confident in registering your DOIs and updating your metadata. So, if you need further help or information, you can refer to our support documentation. It is available in English on our website. And first of all, the first link that you see here, it's a members area. It's a collection of all of the important links for our members. So, maybe just go ahead and bookmark it. And every time you have a question, just search if maybe there is a link for you there. There's, as I said, a lot of documentation on different topics. There is also a community forum where you can chat with our other members and see if maybe someone else is experiencing similar issues. You can chat with our team directly. You can update your account details or contacts also via the contact form. And if you're using OJS, there is also documentation and community forum from PKP. So, thank you for listening for this fairly long presentation. And I've been seeing that there's so many questions in the chat and hopefully also in the Q&A box. So let's see if we can answer some questions by the end of the session. I've noticed there have been a lot of questions about the recording and the slides and sharing the links. So if you're here, you have registered and you will receive an email with the recording and with the slides. So don't you worry, you're gonna get all of it. Maybe not today, but hopefully tomorrow or latest, if my colleague is out of office, then you're gonna get it by Monday. But you will get it, and I can promise you that. Okay, I can see that my colleague Sally is answering a question in the Q&A, so I'm just gonna quickly skim through the chat. The latest question I see is how do we access the APIs, any API documentation? So if you go to api.crossref.org, you will find there all of our REST API documentation, and either you want to use it personally and do certain API queries, that is very fairly similar to do. If you wish to connect your platform to our API or something, you might be interested in using our Plus service. So it's called Metadata Plus, which basically gives you higher rates for the requests. And you can, again, best of all, reach out to our support saying why do you want it and how do you want to do that. And they will make sure to assist you. I'm seeing, let me just quickly skim through the question. I don't know, Abanda Sally, is there something that we should answer live? I see Sally has been really on top with answering all of these questions, so thank you so much.
Yeah, we did just have a question in the chat actually about what the role of a sponsoring member is for a new member. And Crossref does operate a sponsors program, which facilitates access to organizations who might not be able to work with Crossref directly for one reason or another. And that might be because of financial constraints that mean they can't afford our annual membership fee, or it might be because of administrative or technical difficulties, and organizations might want some support from a sponsor in actually registering their DOIs. You can find out lots more about sponsorship on our website, so I'll share a link in the chat now. that you can go and look at sponsors in your area if you're interested and how they might be able to help.
Thank you, Sally. And to answer your last question, if they provide any training for creating DOIs, it really depends on the sponsor. So when you go to that web page and you scroll, maybe find a sponsor in your region, they usually have some contact information. So you would need to go and talk to them directly. And some of them do provide, some of them even register content for you, and some don't. So we can't really vouch that it's the same model for all of the sponsors. After we have a question in Q&A, after submitting the metadata using the metadata manager, will you receive an email indicating that the DOI of the article has successfully registered? So first of all, which is great about metadata manager, you will receive a live on-screen confirmation. So once you click submit, it might take you a couple of seconds, and on the screen you will see, okay, here's your submission ID and here's the current status, whether it's successfully registered or there was a failure. And I believe you should be getting emails as well. So in terms of how to access the metadata manager, Sally is going to drop you a link, and then you can also see it in the chat, and you will also find it in the presentation afterwards. Another question, whether a DOI should be complex one or a simple one. So a DOI, as Abanda previously discussed, it consists of your prefix and a suffix. So the prefix is something that we assign to you when you join as a member. And the suffix, it's something that ideally should be random. So you can just use a randomizer, something that you can find online, or we also have in our documentation spreadsheet to help you with that. And you don't need to create 35 characters. It should be a fairly simple one, but the best practice is that it is random and it's not following any specific pattern. I see another question from Romain that the ISSN is in process. Can we submit contents? This is a very good question, and thank you for raising that. So the ISSN, we don't advise you to register your DOIs if you don't have ISSN yet, and it is best to wait for ISSN, especially if you're using OJS. This will not be possible to register without ISSN. And same goes for the metadata manager. So if you want to have a good, smooth, easy experience, it's honestly just best to wait. But if you really, really, really need to register a DOI today, you can do that by using web deposit form, but you will have to update all of your metadata once you get the ISSN. So that means you'll have two steps. One is you register your DOI through web deposit form, and then once you get the ISSN, you need to go back and update all of your records. Okay, looking through if we have any more questions here.
There is a question about whether a DOI should be a complex one or a simple one. And the answer to that would always be that you want to have the shortest string possible and that it should be opaque. So complex or simple is quite subjective, I suppose, but you want a unique string that doesn't contain any identifiable metadata and is as short as possible. That's my advice. I'll pop a link in the chat to our guidance on constructing DOIs.
Great, thank you so much, Sally. Okay, we still have quite some time, so I'm wondering if any of you have any more questions, or maybe you have some good feedback about how smooth your beginning with Crossref was. I see a question from Ainur, how to activate XML. So XML is type of a file that you create and send to us. So you can find in our documentation a link to an example XML. It's basically something that you just write. There are different fields within this file and you fill them out. So it's more technical approach than a form. And then you just either upload this file. So you'll have a file on your computer, which is an XML file, and you upload it to our admin tool, or you send it to us via HTTPS post. It's that if you have someone in your organization who has technical skills to do that, or a platform who does it for you. So you don't really activate it, you just write a file. Okay. It looks like we're out of questions. And we've all done a great job answering yours. So I'm just going to give another minute or two for everyone to think and ask any questions that might still be left. Just to highlight, we are a very small team of people answering all of your messages at Crossref. So we sometimes get requests like, oh, can we jump on the call? Can you please show me how to do this? We are 5 people with over 25,000 members all over the world. We really want to help all of you, and we don't have the capacity to jump on the calls. So this is our way of opening up a conversation. And maybe, if you have any question that you want to discuss on a call in a week or two from now, feel free to register for the next of our webinars and come to this webinar with your question and we can discuss it. But otherwise, we can only assist you via email. We also ask you to be a little bit patient with waiting for your requests because we do have a lot of them and we just go through them one after each one in the order of how we received those. So it might take a couple of days until we get back to you, but I assure you, if you have sent us an email, we will get back to you and help you. So yeah, thank you. Thank you very much for today. If there are no more questions, I see some thanks in the chat. It's really been a pleasure chatting with all of you today, answering your questions and guiding you through these challenging, as some might think, Crossref journey.
I think we do have a couple of final questions, actually. There's somebody with their hand up. Marina, are you able to enable them to ask their question?
Yeah, I do not see a hand up, but if you, yeah, okay. We can ask you to unmute. Hi.
Right. Hi. Thank you for the opportunity. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, we can hear you well.
All right. I just got enrolled on Crossref and I successfully activated my profile and logged in. But I cannot just do anything on the profile. I find it very difficult to do anything. So you were talking about registering metadata. So is it on the same portal? Are we going to register new DOIs on the same portal? That is number one. Number two, we have existing DOIs that are no longer resolving because we re-uploaded the articles. So there's a new URL now. I've been looking at that platform too to see where to reactivate it, because on OJS, we use an OJS, and I have re-registered on OJS, but all came back as errors. So it was not successful. So on the website too, on the profile page, I can't find anywhere on that portal where to. But I just left everything till today, hoping that there will be a display, a demonstration on how to do those things. Although I joined this webinar late, 30 minutes later or thereabout, I wouldn't know if you had done that earlier, so that since you have promised to share the recording, you can catch up. But if you have not done that, it means I still need help.
Thank you so much for your questions, and I'm sorry to hear that you're seeing all of these errors. So if you're using OGS, the first and foremost, you need to make sure that you have plugins, the Crossref plugins, or one plugin depending on the version, activated, and you properly entered your email, your role, and your password there. Because a lot of errors in OGS are exactly because of that. And we did cover this in the presentation, and we have videos on our website. So you will, once you get the recording and the slides afterwards, just follow these links. And generally, how you update the links or you register more DOIs, this will all be happening in OJS. So there's no need to go on that portal. It's great that you can log in there. It means that you know your password, and this is the most important thing. So once you know your email, your role, and your password, you need to properly enter it in the plugin in your OGS instance. And then you'll need to go and either update the records if you're on the later version, or just unpublish, edit, and republish again. And if you already have some examples of the errors that you're receiving, I would recommend you to just take a screenshot of those and then write down the information about your account. So the account name, prefix, and maybe the DOIs that you're trying to update, and send a message to us via crossref.org/contact. So our technical support team can take a quick look at those, and they will have all of the information they need to help specifically you in your case, and hopefully solve this for you once and for all. I hope this helps. There is a question from AJ in the chat about references that are not getting in as metadata. Version of OGS is 3.4. So do you have to update to 3.5 to deposit metadata safely? I think for 3.4, there might be a different plugin. So you might want to ask PKP or on PKP forum about that. There is also a simple text query, how you can deposit references outside of OGS. I hope Sally will send a quick link to simple text query in the chat in a little bit. But the best and most user-friendly and easiest way to do it is, yes, to update the version of OGS. And this way you have more metadata elements already within OGS that are being sent to Crossref when you register your DOI. And the last, there is a quick question about GEM, whether it's forever free or it has a timeline. So we review the list of the countries that are eligible for GEM program every year, and we base this on the World Bank data. So whenever that updates, we update it accordingly. So we cannot really say that there is a timeline. And maybe for some countries it is going to be forever free, but we are reviewing this on a yearly basis. Can I use our prefix to register DOI for conference papers? Yes, you can use your prefix, the one that you have for your organization, to register all sorts of content that is published by your organization, whether it's journals, books, conference papers, reports, data sets, everything that is published by your organization, you can register on your prefix. All right. Thank you so much. It's been a great session, and it's been a pleasure chatting with you and helping you with all of your questions. We are going to wrap up for today. I hope you're going to have a great rest of your day wherever you are in the world. And as I said before, you're going to receive the recording and the slides afterwards. Thank you for joining us today, and welcome to Crossref.